Right, so here I am at St Helen's, Bishopsgate in the city, and this is to promote my next book, Bella Visconti. And I haven't actually written the book yet. Normally it's the other way around. Normally I write the book and then tear arse around trying to get time off work, trying to film the promo vlog, but I haven't actually written the book yet. But this is where my 8th book, La Bella Visconti, starts in St Helen's, Bishopsgate. And it's set in the courts of Edward IV and Richard III, and the action starts in around the early 1460s. And the main character is Catherine Visconti, and she is sent here and she's raised and educated here by the nuns at St Helen's, Bishopsgate. And it would have been a Benedictine nunnery back then, founded in the 1100s, and it was quite common for nobles, very rich people, to send their children to either monasteries or nunneries to be educated. And yeah, she's sent here to St Helen's in the city. And okay, so let's get some bearings as to where we are. We're in the city of London, and this building here is a Gherkin, known as a Gherkin. And that is, I'm looking east now. I'm standing looking from west to east, and that's the official title is St Mary Axe, because it's actually built in the parish of St Mary Axe. Yeah, so that's looking to the east. So if I just pan round now, just get some bearings as to where we are. This is Bishopsgate. This main road here, this is Bishopsgate. And to the south, that leads on to Grace Church Street, Leadenhall Market. That's where I was filming my vlog to promote the Beast Catcher. And then Grace Church Street leads down to Monument and then London Bridge. So this would have been the main road from London Bridge right up to the north, up towards the London Wall and the city gates that were dotted around London Wall. Apologies, I'm shouting over London traffic as normally. Night seems to be playing up from time to time. Yeah, so the city gate, the gates in the wall surrounding the city of London, they were sort of dotted around. They were the entrances into London, situated at the main roads leading into London. And Bishopsgate would have been this way, heading north, and you had various different gates that went around the wall, London Wall. Off the top of my head, Aldgate, that's in the sort of eastern part. Then you have Bishopsgate here. Further on, Moorgate. I know Moorgate Telephone Exchange quite well. I used to go to a lot of meetings, training courses there near the Barbican. And where else? Newgate. Yeah, Newgate morphed into the famous prison. Of course, it got demolished in the early 20th century, and they built the Central Criminal Court there, which is now known as the Old Bailey. Yeah. Okay, so I'm standing. So to the south is Leadenhall Street, Leadenhall Market, and so to the east here is the Gherkin building. It would have been a monastery back in the 15th century. And of course, they were all dissolved. The monasteries and nunneries were all dissolved in the late 1530s, and they demolished the sort of the monastery part of it, and they kept what was their chapel that the nuns and the parishioners worshipped in at the time. What I'll do is I'll put up some original pictures of what it looked like, and also I've got a lovely map of the 1520s. And I'm going to put that up, and that's sort of where I'm standing now. And if you look, this part here is sort of split into two. This part here is marked on the map as being where the nuns worshipped, and then it was split. And this part here on the right was where all the parishioners of St Helen's would have worshipped. And of course, in the 1530s, Henry VIII dissolved all the monasteries, and the monastery part of it was this bit here, this at the side here, and and they would have all been sold off, and the stone reclaimed and used for other things. The lead off the roof would have been used for other things, but the chapel that the parishioners and the nuns worshipped in was kept, and this is the remains of it here. And I think it's the oldest surviving church in the city. I think it is. It survived the Great Fire, 1666, and it survived the Blitz in the Second World War, relatively unscathed, so it's unique. Of course, most of the city churches were destroyed in the fire, and a lot of them were rebuilt by Wren and Hawksmoor. Some weren't, as the population dwindled throughout the years. They weren't needed, so some of them weren't rebuilt. But the ones that were, a lot of them did take a big hit in the war. They were blitzed in the war. But St Helens survived. I just showed you the Gherkin building there. That's actually built on the site of the old Baltic Exchange, which was an old Victorian building. And back in the early 90s it was bombed by the RA. They let off a couple of bombs, and St Helens did take a bit of damage, and it had to be restored in the early 90s. Yeah, so it did sustain a bit of damage from the RA bombing. Yeah, they decided to completely demolish the old Victorian, what was left of the Baltic Exchange, and build this, the Gherkin, Yeah, so there we go, that's it, that's St Helen's Bishopsgate, that's where the action starts, that's where my main character, Bella Visconti, is raised and educated, I'm going to go out onto Bishopsgate at the junction of where I've just come from, Threadneedle Street, and I'm going to show you the site of what would have been Crosby Place, Crosby Hall as it's now known. It's not there anymore. It was moved. The remains of it was escaped demolition in the early 20th century, and it was moved to Chelsea Embankment. And I knew it as a sort of a bit of a building site throughout the 90s and the 2000s when I worked on that area. But yeah, it's on Chelsea Embankment now. What was the remains of the sort of Great Hall of Crosby Place, and any Ricardian will know that Crosby Place was where R3, before he became king, Richard Duke of Gloucester, based himself when he first came to London, when his brother Edward IV died. And he based himself there, and he's supposed to be getting the coronation ready for his nephew, Edward V, but of course that didn't happen. The two princes disappeared into the tower, and he became king, didn't he? But Crosby Place was where he based himself before all of that. Right, so I've just come to the junction of Bishopsgate and Threadneedle Street. This is Threadneedle Street here. This is where I've just come from. I've got the tube up here to Bank. And I'm going to show you roughly where the site of Crosby Hall, Crosby Place, Crosby House would have stood. And it was actually built on land owned by the nunnery, by St Helen's Nunnery, and I think they sort of leased it to the guy who built it, whose name was, surprise, Crosby. Yeah, and this is what I was saying, this is Bishopsgate here. And this leads up to what would have been Bishopsgate, which would have been a gate in the wall, the wall that surrounded London. Yeah, this is where it roughly would have been here. And of course, as I said earlier, Richard III, when he was Duke of Gloucester, based himself here. It's not there anymore. It got moved, like I said, in the early 20th century to Chelsea Embankment. It got moved and reconstructed there. And it went through a lot of renovation work in the early 2000s. Yeah, it's sort of not actually on this over the back of this building here. It would have been situated there. Yeah, I mean, no, in the city of London, I didn't work all that much in the city. My area was the West End, but I did used to get sent over here from time to time. I used to get sent on loan. So I don't really know it that well. I have worked in a few buildings around here. I know Moorgate very well, Moorgate Telephone Exchange. As I said earlier, I used to go to training courses and meetings there, by the Barbican. Yeah, so it's just showing you that. Yeah, Bishopsgate. Okay.